The world had changed. Cities that once touched the sky were now broken piles of ash. Oceans had dried into salty plains. Forests had turned into silent graveyards. Long ago, Earth had been full of life. Now, it was quiet. The sun still rose, but the warmth was gone. Storms came often, but they brought no rain, only dust and wind. In the far north, where snow once fell every winter, the land was dry and cracked. Ice no longer covered the mountains. Instead, strong winds howled through empty valleys. Deep inside one of these valleys, a group of people lived quietly. They called themselves the Redcrest tribe. These people had never used computers or satellites. They had never driven cars or flown in planes. Their lives were simple, based on hunting, gathering, and stories passed down by their elders. The tribe was small. Only a few dozen remained. Their homes were made from stone and dried grass. Every day was a fight for survival. Food was hard to find, and clean water was even harder. Yet they endured. The tribe's leader, an old man named Chief Roan, guided them with wisdom and calm strength. He had seen many seasons and had led the people through fires, floods, and famine. Still, nothing had prepared him for what was coming. One morning, just before sunrise, the sky changed color. A strange humming filled the air. The sound grew louder, vibrating through the ground. Animals ran for cover. Birds flew in strange patterns, as if they had no control. The tribe gathered outside their homes, eyes wide, unsure what to expect. A shadow passed over the valley. It was not a cloud. It was far too smooth, too round, and far too silent for anything natural. A ship, massive and glowing, hovered high above the ground. Its surface pulsed with soft blue light. It made no noise, yet everyone could feel it. The air grew heavy, and the earth beneath their feet felt alive, like it was waiting. Children hid behind their parents. Warriors reached for old rifles and bows, their hands shaking. Chief Roan stood firm. He stared at the ship, his eyes sharp, but calm. This was not their first time hearing about alien visitors. The old stories spoke of beings from the sky, creatures with strange eyes and soft voices. Long ago, these beings had promised help, but when the world started burning, no one came. The tribe had learned to depend on no one but themselves. So when the ship arrived, no one saw it as a rescue. They saw it as a threat. Roan raised his hand and spoke, his voice steady. "Do not attack unless they harm us. Watch. Listen. Wait." The tribe moved quickly. They took positions along the cliffs and trees, hidden but ready. The ship stayed in the sky, unmoving. Hours passed. Then, from the belly of the ship, a smaller object detached. It floated down slowly, quiet and smooth like a falling feather. The people held their breath. The object landed in the center of the valley, where an old fire pit once stood. From it, a figure emerged, tall, thin, and glowing faintly. The being wore a long cloak and held a rod that sparked with energy. It looked around, slowly, as if searching for someone. The humans did not move. Not yet. Suddenly, a boy stepped forward. His name was Ryan, a young hunter known for his curiosity. He did not carry a weapon. Around his neck, he wore a carved stone with a strange symbol. The symbol had been passed through his family for generations. It looked like a star wrapped in leaves. The alien saw the stone and froze. Then very slowly it touched its own chest. The same symbol appeared, glowing softly in the same shape. Gasps spread through the tribe. Eyes turned to Chief Roan. His mouth was tight, his brows furrowed. This was no random visit. The alien raised its hands in peace. It did not speak, but a soft hum echoed through the valley. The trees rustled though there was no wind. A strange warmth filled the air, gentle like the memory of spring. Chief Roan stepped forward at last. He walked toward the figure without fear. The two stood only feet apart, neither making a move. Roan looked into the alien's eyes, trying to find truth or lies. "I remember your kind," he said. "You promised help once. But when fire fell from the sky, we were left alone." The alien lowered its head. A quiet light spread across its body. Then from behind its robe, it pulled out an old item, a metal plate covered in rust, burned and bent. On it was a flag, red, white, and blue, with stars still visible. It was a piece of old Earth. The tribe gasped. Roan's face softened. He reached out and touched the metal. "You came too late," he whispered. The alien finally spoke, not with words, but with a sound deep in the heart. A sound of sorrow, a sound of hope, and so began a new chapter for the last human tribe. Far above the Earth's dusty skies, hidden among the stars, a massive ship floated in silence. It was shaped like a great silver wing and pulsed with light from within. Inside, corridors glowed softly as tall figures moved with quiet purpose. These were the Zalari, an ancient alien race known for their knowledge, grace, and deep connection to energy. They were not fighters. They were seekers, builders, and healers. Commander Veltron stood near a window, his long hands folded behind. His back, his eyes, dark and deep like distant galaxies, stared at the burned world below. Once, Earth had been bright, full of life and color. Now, smoke and dust covered its surface. But the Zalari had come, not to mourn the planet, but to protect what little remained. Behind him, a young officer walked in. Her name was Ilaria. She carried a scroll-like device, its screen glowing faintly. "The readings are correct," she said quietly. "The valley holds a surviving human tribe. They carry the gene." Veltron turned. His voice was steady, calm. "Are you sure it's pure?" Ilaria nodded. "Yes. Unmixed, untouched. The last original strain." Veltron closed his eyes for a moment. His thoughts were heavy. This tribe, hidden deep in the mountains, might hold the answer their people had searched for. The scorching, a sickness that killed forests, poisoned water, and melted cities, had spread far beyond Earth. It had reached other planets, including Zalari's home. Thousands had died. Entire villages had vanished. The Zalari had studied every cure, tested every method, but none had worked. Then came an old discovery. Deep in ancient human DNA, before the age of machines and labs, there was something unique. A resistance, a hidden defense that stopped the scorching from spreading. That secret had vanished when humans changed their bodies with technology. But one tribe had stayed apart. One group had survived in nature, untouched by modern science. And now, that group was the galaxy's last hope. "We are not welcome here," Veltron said softly. "The humans do not trust us. We must earn their faith." Ilaria looked unsure. "Should we tell them the truth?" The commander paused. "Not yet. First, we show them we are not their enemies." At the edge of the room, another officer entered. His armor was thicker, his steps were louder. His name was Crave, a Zalari warrior trained for protection. "The Council has warned us," Crave said. "They forbid us from helping Earth. If the other races find out, we could face trial, war." Veltron turned back to the window. "If we do nothing, we lose more than honor. We lose everything." The Zalari were not alone in space. Other alien species watched Earth, too. Many believed humans had caused their own destruction and should be left to vanish. Some feared humans. Some hated them. To these races, helping humanity was a danger, but Veltron had chosen a different path. "We move now," he said, quietly, carefully. "We protect the tribe without drawing attention." Down in the valley, the tribe had seen the ship. Fear and confusion filled their minds. Veltron knew this. He had studied human behavior for years. He knew they were emotional, proud, and stubborn. But he also knew they were brave, clever, and deeply loyal. He sent Ilaria as the first contact. Her task was not to speak, but to listen. Not to lead, but to stand beside them. She would carry ancient Earth symbols the Zalari had saved from ruins, objects that might spark memories and open hearts. Crave, though not happy, prepared the ship's defenses. The commander did not expect a battle, but he always prepared for one. Earth had changed. Its surface was broken. But danger did not always come from the ground. Other ships had been seen in orbit, silent, watching. "They will come," Crave warned. "The Zarnok never ignore human activity." Veltron nodded. The Zarnok were a violent species with sharp claws, metal bones, and endless hunger. They had destroyed colonies, burned forests, and hunted survivors for sport. If they learned of the tribe, they would not save them. They would destroy them. The mission had grown more dangerous. Still, Veltron refused to turn back. They carry the last thread, he said. One tribe, one chance. If we lose them, we lose hope. In the ship's lower bay, scientists worked on small devices designed to protect human cells from further decay. These tools could help the tribe. But the tools would be useless if the humans rejected them. Everything depended on trust. As Ilaria prepared to leave, she walked through the memory chamber. The walls glowed with images from Earth's past. Children, playing in parks, blue oceans under clear skies, forests thick with life. She had never seen such things with her own eyes. Her world had always been gray, quiet and cold. She touched one image gently, an old man planting a tree. Maybe, she whispered, we still have a chance to grow. With a soft hum, the shuttle opened. She stepped inside, carrying hope in her hands. Above the planet, Veltron watched her descent, silent and strong. Beneath them, in the Valley of Ashes, something ancient stirred. Ilaria's shuttle descended through smoky skies, its metal skins scarred by falling ash. Below, the valley stretched in shades of gray and brown. Ruined huts and shattered stones lay scattered across the land. A cold wind carried dust into the craft's open hatch. Ilaria braced herself and stepped onto the rocky ground. Her cloak swept behind her like a quiet wave. Nearby, the tribe watched from behind boulders and trees. They gripped bows and spears, eyes narrowed in distrust. One of their warriors, a tall man named Jarek, signaled silently to move. With swift steps, he and two others circled the shuttle. Dust swirled around their feet, creating ghostly patterns. Ilaria raised her hands in a gesture of peace. Her palms glowed with soft blue light. The weapon at her side remained still. She spoke with her mind, sending calm images. A fresh spring, children laughing, warm firelight. The humans hesitated, uncertain if the pictures were real dreams or tricks. Jarek lowered his spear but kept his guard. He remembered the years of betrayal. Once, his people had greeted other spacecraft, only to see friends taken or killed. His heart pounded. He wondered if this envoy would bring death. Ilaria lifted an object from her satchel. It was a curved metal piece etched with symbols. She placed it gently on a flat stone. The symbol glowed faintly, revealing a branch wrapped around a star. Jarek recognized it from old cave paintings passed by his ancestors. He took a cautious step forward. The chief, Roan, emerged from the shadows. His face was weathered by sun and cold. He regarded the alien with steady gaze. His hand rested on the handle of a crude knife at his belt. He spoke in a low, measured voice. "Show us why you have come," he said. Ilaria bowed her head. From her cloak she drew a small glass sphere. Inside, tiny lights danced like fireflies. The sphere held water from a forgotten lake, clear and blue. She placed it beside the metal relic. Quiet filled the valley as everyone watched. Roan glanced at his people. Some warriors lowered their weapons, others remained tense. He positioned himself between Ilaria and his tribe. His voice echoed across the stones. "We will listen," he announced, "but we will not trust blindly." Ilaria pressed a finger to the sphere, and the water swirled, forming a map of the world as it once was. Oceans shimmered, forests glowed. Then the image shifted. Rivers dried, forests turned black. Plains cracked under a harsh sun. The tribe gasped. Memories of their grandparents' tales returned in flashes of pain. The alien's eyes shone with sorrow. She raised her arm and pointed upward. The Zalari ship hovered above them, its lights steady and calm. No weapons appeared. No engines roared. It simply waited, offering something more than fear. Roan studied Ilaria, searching for hidden motives. At last he nodded once and turned to his people. "We will give her one night," he declared. "She may sit by our fire and speak with the elder woman." The tribe agreed. Torches were lit around a rough circle of stones. Ilaria sat quietly, at the edge of the firelight. Across from her, an old woman named Mira prepared tea from roots and herbs. She poured a cup and offered it to Ilaria, who accepted with respect. Silence grew heavy between them. Sparks rose from the fire, drifting into the dark sky. Jarek stood behind, curious but wary. He watched Ilaria and Mira as they held the same cup, one hand alien, one hand human, both finding warmth in the bitter brew. Through broken night, Ilaria listened to stories. She heard of children lost to acid rain, of hunters ambushed by sandstorms, of families torn by sickness. Tears filled her eyes. Her heart ached for these people. She realized that words might not heal old wounds. Actions would. With dawn near, Ilaria rose. She gifted Mira the metal relic and the glass sphere. Then she looked toward the chief. Her message was clear. Help would come, but only if they trusted her. Roan watched as she climbed back into her shuttle. The fire's glow faded. Warriors returned to their posts. The valley felt empty without her presence. Yet hope lingered in the air. For the first time, the tribe believed they might not face the end alone. When sunlight crept into the valley, dew touched stones, birds sang. A breeze carried fresh water scent from a hidden creek. The tribe gathered by the fire pit, faces wary yet hopeful. Chief Roan climbed a fallen log and spoke to his people. He vowed to guard them and the gifts. High above, the alien ship hovered. For the first time in years, the valley felt hope. High above the mountains, the Zalari ship floated like a quiet star. Inside its walls, glowing screens showed pictures of the human tribe below. Every movement was tracked with care. The valley, once ignored by most, had become the center of hope for the Zalari race. Commander Veltron stood in the main chamber, staring at a screen that showed a boy named Ryan. The boy had caught his attention. Though young, Ryan carried a symbol around his neck that matched the Zalari's ancient records. It was a sign from a forgotten time, a link between two worlds. Ilaria entered the room. Her face looked tired, but her eyes were focused. "They listened," she said. "They gave me one night. I left them the relic and the water sphere." Veltron nodded. "Did they accept it?" She paused. "Not fully, but they didn't reject it either. That means something." Another figure joined them. It was Dr. Neural, the chief scientist. He carried a small case filled with samples collected during Ilaria's visit. Inside were tiny drops of sweat, strands of hair, and a piece of cloth used by one of the children. "These samples," Dr. Neural began, "confirm everything. Their blood carries the original human gene, pure and untouched." Veltron turned toward him. "Is it stable?" The scientist smiled slightly. "Yes. The gene still resists the scorching." The scorching had ruined planets. It spread through air, soil, and water. Nothing stayed safe for long. The disease was not natural. Some believed it had been created during the final wars of Earth. Others thought it came from deep space. Whatever its origin, it destroyed all it touched. When the Zalari studied early human DNA, they found a pattern, an ancient defense hidden in cells before humans began altering themselves. That pattern disappeared over time, lost to technology and genetic changes. But this tribe, untouched by machines, still had it. "If we can map it," Dr. Neural explained, "we can build a cure, not just for us, but for others. Plants, animals, maybe even Earth." Ilaria looked down. "They won't give their trust easily." "They don't need to," Veltron said. "We just need their help." Elsewhere on the ship, Crakes trained. The guards. He didn't trust the silence around Earth. Too many alien races had eyes on the old planet. The Zarnok, in particular, were known for their cruelty. They destroyed for sport. If they learned of the tribe, the outcome would be brutal. Crakes moved to the control deck and spoke with the pilot. "Any sign of other ships?" The pilot shook his head. No movement yet, but scanners showed distant energy pulses. That was enough for Crakes. He raised alerts and ordered the crew to prepare defenses. "If someone comes," he warned, "they won't come to talk." Back in the science lab, Dr. Neural placed the human samples into a tall machine. Lights blinked in rows. The machine hummed softly as it scanned the cells. As data appeared, images filled the walls, twisting patterns, lines of color, tiny sparks of life. One pattern stood out. It pulsed in steady rhythm, strong and clear. The ancient human defense, Ilaria, watched, amazed. "It's beautiful. It's powerful," Dr. Neril replied. "Even in a small child, it holds more strength than our best cures." Veltron took a deep breath. "Then we must act quickly, before we are found." At sunset, Ilaria prepared to return to the valley. She packed a small device that could heal wounds, purify water, and check sickness. It was a gift, not a bribe, but a show of goodwill. Alongside it, she took a recording of the DNA findings to help explain their mission. As she entered the shuttle, Krakes met her at the door. "Be careful," he said. "The Zarnok might already know." "I will be fast," Ilaria answered. The shuttle left the ship and headed down, lights dimmed to stay hidden. In the sky above, stars began to fade. Darkness spread over the land. In the valley, the tribe gathered once more. Chief Roan stood with Ryan and Jarek, waiting. They saw the shuttle descend again, this time slower, calmer. Ilaria stepped out and held the device high, showing she meant no harm. Roan raised a hand, and the tribe lowered their weapons. She walked forward, her steps steady, and placed the machine beside the fire. Roan studied it. "What is it?" "A tool," Ilaria said softly, "to help your people. It brings clean water, heals sickness, and shows truth." She opened the recording, and a light formed above the fire. The tribe saw their own cells, tiny shapes moving in color. Then they saw others, plants, animals, even Zalari cells. The difference was clear. Their bodies held something no one else had. "This is why we came," Ilaria said. "You are the key." Roan looked into the light. "Why save us now, when others left us behind?" "Because we believe you're not just survivors," she said. "You are the future." The fire cracked. A child reached toward the light, smiling, and for the first time the tribe saw their blood not as a burden, but as a gift. Night hung over the valley like a heavy blanket. Stars blinked quietly above, unaware of what was coming. Fires burned low as the tribe rested inside their shelters. The air was cold, but calm. A peaceful silence covered the land, until it was broken. Far beyond the mountains, a sharp light sliced across the sky. It wasn't natural. It moved too fast, too straight. Then came a low, deep sound. Not thunder, not wind. It was a hum that grew louder, vibrating through the ground. Ilaria, still in the valley, stood quickly and looked upward. Her face turned pale. She recognized the sound at once. "The Zarnok," she whispered. Chief Roan stepped from his tent, gripping a wooden spear. His sharp eyes followed the growing light in the sky. "What are they?" he asked. "Hunters," Ilaria said. "They destroy anything that threatens their rule. They've followed us." Before she could say more, the sky cracked. A dark ship exploded through the clouds, its shape long and sharp like a blade. Red lights glowed along its sides. It turned slowly, scanning the valley below. Panic spread through the tribe. Mothers gathered children. Warriors rushed to prepare. Some shouted warnings. Others ran for cover. The peaceful night was gone. Roan barked orders. "No one runs. We defend together." Ilaria activated her communicator. Her voice stayed calm, but urgent. "Commander Veltron, we've been spotted. Zarnok's ship above the valley." His reply came fast. "We see it. We're sending support. Hold your ground." Krakes and a team of Zalari guards launched from the mothership, their small crafts diving through the clouds like hawks. But the Zarnok did not wait. A sudden flash lit the mountains as a beam fired from the enemy ship, cutting through trees and rocks. Flames spread in seconds. Screams echoed through the valley. The humans fought back in their own way. They knew the land better than anyone. Warriors used hidden paths to move silently. They carried simple weapons, arrows, knives, and spears, but used them with great skill. Kai, one of the youngest fighters, led a group to the high cliffs. He knew the old mining trails carved years ago. From there, he could strike from above. He moved fast, guiding his team like a shadow in the night. On the ground, Ilaria stayed close to Roan. She used her tools to mark safe paths and protect the wounded. Her calmness helped steady the tribe's panic. Above, the Zarnok ship released smaller attack drones. They flew low, fast, and deadly. One of them spotted Kai's group on the cliffs and fired a burst of red energy. The rocks shattered. Dust filled the air. One warrior fell, but the others kept going. Kai reached a ledge and spotted a weak point on one of the drones. He signaled, and 2 others aimed with old rifles. They fired. The drone sparked and fell, crashing into the trees. The Chiu Zalari arrived just as more drones descended. Krakes led the charge. He fired precise blasts from his arm cannon, taking down 2 drones in seconds. He landed beside Roan and nodded. "You weren't lying. Your people are strong." Roan did not smile. "We don't have a choice." The battle spread across the valley. Fire lit the trees. Smoke filled the sky. The humans and Zalari fought side by side. Their styles were different, but together they created a wall the Zarnok could not easily break. Ilaria helped a child who had fallen. The child looked up at her, eyes wide, and asked, "Are you one of us now?" She paused, then nodded. "Yes, tonight, I am." Back on the cliffs, Kai noticed something strange. The Zarnok ship hovered lower than before. He realized it was trying to scan the valley floor, likely searching for the DNA source. If it found the hidden chamber where samples were kept, it could destroy everything. He had to act. Kai climbed higher, reaching an old cave filled with forgotten machines. Among them was a barrel of ancient fuel. He pulled it out, tied it to a sled, and pushed it down the mountain toward the ship's scanning light. He ran behind it, holding a fire torch. When the barrel reached the edge, Kai lit the fuse and jumped back. The explosion was massive. The fireball hit the side of the Zarnok ship, sending it spinning. It didn't crash, but it retreated upward, damaged and burning. Cheers rose from below. The drones fell back. The Zalari fired final shots, clearing the air. Smoke cleared slowly. Bodies lay across the valley, but many still stood. Roan leaned on his spear, breathing hard. Krakes walked over, offering a hand. "You fought with honor," the alien said. Roan accepted the grip. "So did you." Kai returned to the group. His clothes singed, but his face proud. Ilaria hugged him without a word. She knew his act had saved them all. Veltron's voice came through the communicator. "The Zarnok are pulling away. We'll begin full protection. This tribe must survive." That night, under broken stars and blackened trees, 2 species stood together, not just as allies, but as one. The sky was quiet again, but only for a moment. Smoke drifted across the valley, hiding stars and moonlight. Fires still burned near the edges, casting long shadows on the ground. The Zarnok ship had pulled back, but no one believed it was over. Everyone in the tribe, and the Zalari standing with them, knew a second attack would come. And soon. Commander Veltron sent more fighters to the surface. Small crafts landed gently, bringing supplies, weapons, and medical tools. The valley became a camp, half made of stone huts, half of glowing alien tents. 2 worlds had come together, not for trade or science, but for survival. Chief Roan met with Veltron beside the fire pit. Their faces showed lines of stress but no fear. They spoke of the land, the tribe's strength, and what must happen. "Next, they will return," Roan said. "But this time, we'll be ready." Veltron agreed. "We must stop them before they reach the valley again." A plan was formed. The tribe would use their deep knowledge of the land. The Zalari would provide energy shields, detection drones, and battle equipment. They would turn the mountains into a trap. The narrow paths, the frozen ridges, and the steep cliffs would become weapons. Jarek, the tribe's best tracker, guided Krakes and his team to old mine tunnels carved long ago. These paths led through the mountains and under the valley. Explosives from the Zalari were placed there, hidden beneath rocks and snow. If the enemy tried to enter, they would face a wall of fire and ice. Kai stood with his small team near the highest ridge. He had recovered from the last battle and refused to rest. His eyes stayed on the sky. Every hour, he scanned for signs of movement. His group carried signal arrows, old Earth tech mixed with alien upgrades. A single shot could call for help or give warning. In the center of the valley, Ilaria worked beside the tribe's healers. Together, they prepared safe shelters for children and elders. She shared medical tools that could clean wounds and ease pain. She also left a recording device in Roan's hut, filled with messages from Zilari history. Stories of how their people had once saved other races, not through war, but through unity. At dawn, Veltron received a message. A Zarnok warship was heading back. This time, it was larger, faster, armed with enough firepower to flatten the entire mountain range. Time was short. Everyone took position. The warriors wore light armor made from a mix of old leather and alien metal. The Zilari soldiers held weapons shaped like long rods, glowing at the tips. Human fighters used rifles, slings, and sharp blades. No one stood alone. Each person had a partner. One from the tribe, one from the stars. The enemy arrived with thunder. The Zarnok ship tore through the clouds. Its body was black and smooth, with red symbols carved into its sides. It hovered just above the cliffs, and then it opened. Drones poured out, followed by armored soldiers with metal skin and glowing red eyes. The humans did not wait. Kai fired the first signal arrow. It flew high, bursting into a green light. In seconds, explosives in the tunnels ignited. The ground shook, rocks collapsed, blocking paths. Flames roared across the lower slopes, cutting off the Zarnok's entrance. From behind the cliffs, the Zilari launched energy bolts. The enemy tried to break through, but the shields held. Fighters on both sides clashed in open fields and tight passages. Jarek led a group through the smoke, attacking from the side. They moved like ghosts, fast and silent. Their arrows found weak points in the Zarnok armor. Roan stood near the center with a long staff. He gave orders, helped the wounded, and kept the group focused. He did not flinch as a drone exploded just steps away. Crakes fought beside him. His armor was damaged, but he kept moving. Each shot from his cannon knocked back the invaders. He admired Roan's courage and strength. Though the two had only known each other for days, Ilaria helped guide families to the cave shelters. She handed out small shields that blocked heat and smoke. Her robe was torn, but she showed no fear. Her only goal was to protect the innocent. In the final moments of the battle, the Zarnok ship began charging its main weapon. A red beam formed, under its belly, glowing brighter with each second. Veltron made a choice. He ordered his ship to target the beam's energy core. A precise strike was needed. One mistake, and the blast would destroy the valley. With steady hands, the Zilari gunners fired. A bolt of pure light shot upward and hit the ship's core. The sky exploded. Fire lit up the clouds. The Zarnok ship broke in two and crashed behind the ridge, far from the camp. Its remaining drones shut down and fell. The valley went still. Smoke cleared. Snow began to fall lightly, touching burned trees and cracked stones. The tribe and the Zilari stood together, wounded but alive. Roan looked to Veltron. "We didn't win because of weapons," he said. "We won because we trusted each other." Veltron nodded. "And because you refused to give up." That night, under a sky full of new stars, they prepared for what came next. Not war, but a future they would build together. The sun rose slowly over the valley, casting golden light across the land. Smoke from the battle had cleared, and snow rested gently on broken trees and scorched earth. A soft wind moved through the hills, cool but peaceful. For the first time in many days, the sky held no threat. Inside the valley, people moved with quiet purpose. Some cleaned the ruins, others carried supplies. The mood was calm, yet filled with meaning. They had survived. What once seemed impossible had now become a shared truth. Two different worlds had stood together and pushed back the darkness. Chief, Roan stood near the edge of the old camp. His clothes were worn, and his face showed deep lines, but his eyes were steady. He watched the tribe and the Zilari working side by side. There were no more barriers, no more suspicion. They spoke in gestures and simple words, but trust no longer needed many explanations. Near the central fire, Ilaria tended to a group of children. She showed them how to use a small healing device. The children laughed as the light tickled their hands. Their joy reminded everyone that the future could be different from the past. Kai helped build new shelters using metal panels from the Zalari. The walls were strong, yet easy to set up. He worked beside Crakes, who taught him how to fasten energy locks. Though they came from separate stars, they now shared jokes, stories, and tools like old friends. Commander Veltron stood near a clear pool formed from melted snow. He looked at his reflection, then turned his gaze toward the mountains. The mission had started with fear and danger. Now, it ended with hope. Dr. Naral arrived with a small case. Inside were samples taken from the tribe. They had completed the first stage of study. The cure was real. Their DNA held what was needed. It could heal soil, clean water, and stop the spread of the scorching. "This is only the beginning," he said. "But it's the most important step." Roan met with Veltron and Ilaria beneath the tallest tree still standing. Its branches were bare, but it had not fallen during the attack. Roan called it a sign. "You kept your word," he said to them. "You gave us a chance," Veltron replied. "Without your trust, there would be nothing left." The chief nodded. "What happens now?" Ilaria opened a screen. Images appeared showing green fields, rebuilt cities, and clean skies. These were not dreams. They were plans. Designs for farming stations, water plants, and shelters for tribes across the earth. "We want to help rebuild," she said. "With your permission, we can begin here." Roan looked around the valley. His people had lived there for generations. They had hunted, built fires, shared stories, and buried their dead in that soil. Now, it was time to think of what came next. "You may build," he said, "but the roots of this land must remain. Its spirit cannot be replaced." Ilaria smiled. "We'll protect that spirit." Above them, a low hum filled the air. A shuttle landed nearby. The side opened, and supplies were unloaded. Food, medicine, books, and clean clothing. For the first time, the tribe had more than what was needed. They had choices. As evening came, a celebration began. Fires were lit in a wide circle. Both the tribe and the Zalari gathered together. They ate, sang, and shared stories. The sound of laughter echoed across the hills. Kai told a story of the time he scared a Zalari drone with a rabbit. Crakes responded by describing how he once confused a human soup pot for a weapon. Ilaria danced with the children, her robe catching the firelight. Veltron sat with Roan, sharing a drink made from mountain berries. At the height of the celebration, Roan stood and raised his hand. The crowd went quiet. "This valley has seen fire and fear," he began, "but it has also seen courage and friendship. We thought we were alone. We were wrong. The stars have answered, not with power, but with kindness. Tonight we are no longer just survivors. We are builders of something new." Cheers followed, loud and full of pride. Later that night, Ilaria walked with Kai to the ridge. They looked up at the sky, where the Zalari ship still floated in silence. "Will you return with us?" she asked. He thought for a moment. "I will visit, but this is still my home." She nodded. "Then let us build a bridge, not a wall." As the stars twinkled above, the valley below glowed with soft light. Tents, huts, and alien structures stood together. There were no borders, only shared ground. In the distance, other tribes began to arrive, hearing word of safety. Some came in fear. Others came with hope. All were welcomed. Veltron sent word to his people. The cure would begin testing. The tribe would be part of the healing process, not just as survivors, but as leaders of renewal. Earth, once lost, was finding life again. And it began with one tribe, a broken world, and a choice to trust.